Welcome back to the Kick and Post YouTube channel and potentially podcast. I have not been posting these on the podcast, but welcome back to Player Profiles, where we're reviewing all these NFL draft prospects in the 2024 NFL draft. Right now, we're doing our wide receivers, and we're hopping into arguably 1A or 1B in the class, depending on who you speak to. Malik Nabers out of LSU, 3-year wide receiver, 6 foot, 201, with elite production in the SEC. How you feeling today, Chris?
I feel good. We're back. We're in motion. We're on Malik Nabers. Yeah. It's just, I don't know.
I want you to go ahead and give the people what you think about Malik Nabers. Obviously, the resume speaks for itself. Yeah. Obviously, had a big year 3 breakout. The first 2 years were a little bit quiet, but he was behind a couple big name receivers over in LSU. They have lately turned into wide receiver U over there. Down in, I was going to say NOLA, but I don't know exactly where. In Baton Rouge. There we go. That's where they're at, right? I'm really upsetting all the LSU fans out there, all LSU faithful. I do have, a coworker of mine, a manager of mine who's a big LSU guy, so shout out Josh. But the third-year production speaks for itself, and I mean, even though I hate, still one of the arguably the best conferences in college football, part of a high-flying offense, and you think potentially the best wide receiver in the draft. Let's hear why.
I don't think that. I just want to put it on the record. I do not think he is the best receiver in the draft. I think you could compare to the best receiver in the draft, and in any other draft, like the last 5 drafts, he would be like a top 3 receiver. So talent's there. It's evident. It's clear. I think he is one of one in terms of talent, because a lot of comps that I'm seeing, especially from I want to say a lot of mock drafts I've been scrubbing through, a lot of people are saying like Jamar Chase, which is to a degree. I've seen Brandon Ayuk. I also agree. But Malik Nabers is just he has an X factor that's pretty unique. I don't know if you've noticed it on tape, but he's just such a smart, aggressive runner after the catch. And it's he finds open space. He can find a lane. He has vision like a running back. So that's where I see with the Jamar Chase comparison. But on the same aspect, Brandon Ayuk and just creating space, being savvy with your route running. He has the speed to do it. He has the quickness. He has the strength. So it's I do think he's in his own lane. Not to say that he's the best in this draft, but he is a prime prospect. Just it's evident. And if you don't believe so, I don't know how you watch football. So,
you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Jamar Chase 2.0, brother.
What do you mean by that?
I know you don't want it to be a 1-for-1. I don't want it to be a comparison. I'm not saying better, but just a second version of Jamar Chase. I had to double check the highlight film I was watching, because I was there's no way I'm not watching Jamar Chase. I looked a couple times, and obviously the LSU jersey doesn't help, but the run after catch, the turning into a running back after getting the balls in your hand, we're looking at potentially, obviously, a day one producer. I think he has the opportunity, depending on what offense he lands in, to break Jamar Chase's rookie record. Because again, day one, at minimum, jet sweeps, bubble screens, and in terms of the route tree, he looks comfortable running quite a few routes. He's great with body positioning and how he sets himself up against the DBs going downfield. I feel like he's always playing in the right position to help his quarterback out, a quarterback's best friend. That gets you those targets earlier on in their rookie year that most guys have to kind of develop that rapport. When you're smart like he is, he will get those targets that, maybe not to throw shade at the last guy we covered, but a Keon Coleman has to, win a couple contested catches before he gets more balls thrown to him. Stuff like that, right? There's no separation issue here like we saw with the last prospect we covered. He creates separation, both in his route running and both on how he mitigates his speed, right? Going slow at the right times, going fast at the right times. Body control crazy. Honestly, MSJ isn't in this draft. There's unquestionably the number 1 wide receiver in the draft. But MSJ does exist. So unfortunately for Malik Nabers, or fortunately for Malik Nabers, he will slide down the draft board. I don't think very far though. I think he's still a top 10, latest top 15 draft pick.
He's not leaving top 10.
I don't think you get out of the top 10 without him being drafted. Honestly, him and his teammate might end up as top 15. but for sure, Malik Nabers is top 10. And what really stuck out to me, and I'm big on production, but meaningful production. This man had arguably one of his better games, and he still had some drops in there and some mistakes, but arguably one of his better games against the best competition in the division, the Alabama Crimson Tide. He went for 10 catches, 171 yards. I think he had a 70-plus yard touchdown as well against arguably NFL level, not arguably, but there's NFL level DBs in that secondary. And that's when he showed out, right? You look down his stats for the year. I think he had 3 games under 80 yards. Everything else is above that. I think he had 3 games under 8 catches. Like, crazy producer in a crazy high-powered offense. And excited to see where, he lands, what team takes the chance on Malik Nabers.
Yeah, not even a chance. It's just adding a weapon to your team. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Day one, you're going to have to game plan against him. Day one, he's going to be a problem. Day one, a lot of vets aren't going to want to guard him. Like, it's just a fact. They're going to be talking on Twitter. They're going to be saying, oh, it's just another receiver, but he's not. And once again, you see the comparison. You see what that type of talent has done in the league. So 2.0 that, I don't agree with that once again, but I do see it. So,
bro, he looks like a clone. I'm sorry. It's too. I feel like you could layer the highlight tapes over each other. Maybe I'm tripping.
Only reason you're not tripping. The only reason I don't have him as a 2.0 because Chase has better hands. We have to put it on.
Oh
record.
No, for sure. I didn't dive into it.
That's it though.
But
everything else is.
Nabers is for sure susceptible to drops. But if you look at if we go back, which guy was getting that tag going into the draft? Even though it was just off of a combine.
That was all preseason.
Okay, yeah. My bad. Off preseason. My bad. But still, he got knocked for the hands a little bit because of a couple preseason drops. Now, Malik Nabers, obviously his is in college, but if you're telling me, okay, this man's susceptible to a few drops, but you show me what he did in the SEC, why did I give them 2 C's right there? Either way,
I don't know.
In the SEC, with competent DBs and competent defensive coordinators and competent defenses. You know what? He could drop the ball once or twice if he's going to catch it 14 times for 140. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that I do usually don't usually care about is conference play for quarterbacks. It's you have to be an SEC quarterback to be good in the leagues. People say that. I'm just that's inaccurate, but okay. But it is true in terms of receivers and cornerbacks. Those that do dominate in those conferences typically are better. As you can see, there's at least 2 SEC DBs in the first round majority of drafts. Receivers, they come at this point there's been 2 to 3 big receivers for 3 years now from the SEC. Mm-hmm. So it's they have that on lock. I'll give him that. He did what he had to do in those boundaries. So adding that on top of what we already know, what we've already seen, it just proves that he's that guy. He's going to be that guy, and he should be that guy until further notice. So
100%.
Honestly, he should be top 5. He might still be top 5.
It's not out of the realm of possibility. Imagine the Chargers dropping the 5th pick on him.
Yeah, easy. But there is some other talent in the league. There are other needs of positions for certain teams. But in terms of talent, he's top 5 in this draft. Talent alone, top 5.
Yeah, no argument from me there. Best landing spots for Malik Nabers is the league. Put him anywhere.
Honestly, anywhere where they got a helmet and shoulder pads.
You can put him in the league.
You don't even need a playbook. You could play backyard. You could play UFL. You could play whatever league The Rock just dropped coming out this March.
Anything.
He's gonna dominate.
Anything.
He's that guy.
Bad matchups for him. Bad landing spots. Not many
for him, or in terms of dynasty. Yeah,
if we're gonna go dynasty and talk fantasy stock, right? We're gonna keep pooping on this team, and I apologize. But if they put him in a Patriots jersey, people are gonna go, "Ooh, not me." Still give me Malik Nabers.
That's the thing. I'm still taking Malik Nabers. Yeah. He's still gonna produce even in that mediocre offense.
Yeah.
If they're competent to half a degree, they will give him the ball in any way.
I keep preaching, which obviously by the time we get to the draft, hopefully my voice will have made it to half of y'all. The Patriots will not be the Patriots of old. This is going to be a very different team, ran by a very different type of coach. Obviously, they drafted somebody from the defensive mind, but in terms of offense and how they run their offense and how they draft, it's going to look a lot different than it's looked for the last, 30 years? Like, Bill ain't there no more. Yeah. So we got to see what they turn into, which means Bill also isn't picking receivers anymore, which he has struggled to do. So just look at the Patriots. You got to blank slate it. You can't just look at it and be like, oh, it's the Patriots of old. It's going to look a little bit different, right? So, but if we're talking fantasy and dynasty and all that stuff, where do we hurt if he goes? Philadelphia. He's not going to go there, but if he landed there, that would suck.
I say the only ones in the top 10 would probably be like Atlanta, depending on their quarterback situation.
Yeah, if they drop Justin Fields and then go get Nabers, oh my goodness. Justin Fields, Nabers,
started, bro.
London,
no, that
Pitts, Robinson. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh me, oh my.
You even say Algier, bro. He's a baller too.
Algier? Yeah. Yeah,
Cordell Patterson.
Tyler Algiers would be. I'm not sure if Cordell makes it past the cut, but Tyler Algier
I think he's out of there.
Be good. But nah, there's so many situations. But if we're talking from like a fantasy perspective, all those guys aren't going to go for 1,000. It's just not going to happen. Somebody's going to lose out or miss out a little bit. So I guess that wouldn't be an ideal landing spot.
It's Kyle Pitts. We all know.
Yeah. Unfortunately. I mean, I like him on the Colts. That would be fun. But again, we have to see where AR matures as a passer. See how he comes back from that shoulder injury. But, Pittman might be testing free agency. The Colts might be an interesting landing spot. Where else? Obviously, I love the Chargers, but that's very unlikely. I don't know.
No.
But I don't really see any horrible landing spots. So just prepare to watch the Neighbors show. That's what I'm saying. I saw a pretty fun joke on there. For a fantasy team that drafts him, it's slipping me now. Gosh, it was Neighbor reference. Now I'm sad I forgot it. But anyway, you're gonna see a lot of fun Neighbor fantasy draft team names. It's just a fun name to kind of play around with too. And I think he's gonna produce for many years to come. And you're just gonna add him to the list of LSU wide receivers that have kind of started with OBJ and now made it all the way to Jamar Chase as the main guys in the league. I mean, it's hard to argue now if he turns into what we expect him to turn into, wide receiver U. It's them in Ohio State essentially fighting for that title. So,
yeah, I'm excited, and that's what makes this draft even more special because that just builds on the story Ohio State, LSU, and it's like two juggernauts yet again.
Yep. Those boys know how to coach up them receivers, man. You got anything in closing about Malik Nabers that you'd like to add?
No, draft him. Don't be scared to take him.
Easy.
As high as you want.
Easy.
Like, it is justified.
If you guys are doing drafts before the actual NFL draft, first off, you guys are psychos. I would like to try that sometime in the future, but you guys are psychos. But yeah.
You're sick. You're addicted if you're drafting right now.
Yeah.
Take a break, brother.
Yeah. Go see your family. Like, what you got going on? Go outside. Touch grass. For real. But
no, for real. Please.
But on another note, if you do that, taking them anywhere between the 1-1 and the 1-5, I wouldn't say 1-1, depending on your draft settings. If it's 2 quarterback or a super flex league, you're probably looking at them in the 1-5 range. If it's a single quarterback league, it's probably 1-2 to 1-4 range, depending what you like, right? So feel free to draft him pre-draft, after the NFL draft, whatever. He's a lock off the board. That's all I'll really say.
Yeah.
But talking about LSU and Ohio State, being those guys that battle for best receiver, I think that should be the next guy we hop into. What do you think?
Y'all not ready for that.
Y'all not ready for that?
Ooh, y'all not ready for. Y'all think y'all ready, but like this guy's special, like really special.
Yeah, he is. I mean, if it's something that me and Chris agree on 100%,
It's like
might be
we've
that guy.
seen Wemby in the NBA.
Yeah.
You got the boy Connor in the NHL.
Yeah.
And now we have Marvin. And I don't think people really understand what this kid might be capable of.
Yeah, it's kind of insane, but I'm excited to go into.
I'm so
excited to get into his what could happen, what could what perspective we could end up going with MHJ, and potentially if it he's still not out of the question for being the 1-1. That's a whole nother conversation, like 1-1 in the actual NFL draft, but we'll get there. I'd like to thank y'all for watching and tuning in. You guys have been showing a lot of support, especially on the last video, Keon Coleman's draft prospect. If you'd like to watch that video, click somewhere on the screen. I'm sure I'll have it posted. And please please subscribe, please share this video, and please give us more guys to cover, because we're not just here to cover the big names. I want to hop into a couple of, unknowns. I mean, he's not so unknown, but I hope to hopefully get into Javon Baker out of UCF. I think he's a solid prospect.
I have no idea who that is.
See, we about to put you on. We about to put you on. Ashton Jeanty, the running back out of Boise State. I already put Chris on. One of my favorite prospects coming out of the running back class. So we already have guys we plan to cover that aren't necessarily, being shoved in your face on social media or the Twitters or the Instagrams, but they have the potential to really do some work. So thank y'all again for tuning in. Thank y'all again for watching. Keep supporting, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.